So far, I've looked at the political compass and I side with, but as I was stumbling around on theissues.org, I noticed that they have a quick vote matching quiz that I just had to take. It's short and it's different from the rest, and hey, why not make a video about it? So, here's the skinny on this one. They have questions under 4 different categories: individual rights, domestic issues, economic issues, and defense/international issues. It's a 5-point scale that I've termed strongly support and moderately support on one side, strongly oppose and moderately oppose on the other side, and in the middle, no opinion. There were a couple of times that I had to vote no opinion just because of the vague nature of the question, and I think that's a problem. I have some strong opinions on the subject matter, I just can't answer the question as stated because I have no idea how it's intended. So let's see how that goes, and let's get started. This is a section on individual rights. Abortion is a woman's unrestricted right. Strongly support. Yes, I do agree, although I do have a bit of an issue with the word unrestricted. I don't think there's any rights out there anywhere that are actually unrestricted. I do support a woman's right to choose. I don't know with that word if I'm really strong, but I'm going to go that way. Legally require hiring more women and minorities. Strongly oppose. Absolutely not. That is, by definition, racist and sexist. The most qualified person ought to be hired for any given job, and one's race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, etc. should not be considered at all in the decision. Comfortable with same-sex marriage. Strongly support. Granted, this was written before the recent Supreme Court decision, and now it really doesn't matter if people are comfortable or not because it is legal nationwide regardless. But yes, I'm totally comfortable and entirely supportive of equality in all things. Keep God in the public sphere. Strongly oppose. Oh, hell no. Get your delusions out of my secular society. I don't care what you do in your own home and in your own church, but when it comes to public policy and civil rights and all of that, I want rational, intelligent people who don't have to get on their knees and talk to themselves making the decisions. EPA regulations are too restrictive. Strongly support. Yes, I think they are, particularly because they have largely become ideological in nature. People, particularly on the left, want to punish companies and society as a whole, not because they have any better solutions, not because there's anything to replace current energy methods, but because they put ideological concerns over reality, and that's complete nonsense. Make voter registration easier. No opinion. Now, in general, I would agree, but this can be taken a lot of different ways. I want legitimate citizens who are legally permitted to vote to be able to register to vote without jumping through unnecessary hoops. That doesn't mean no hoops, and it absolutely doesn't mean that anyone should be able to register, legal or not. Because I cannot determine how this question was intended, I cannot in good conscience answer. Then we move on to domestic issues. Stricter punishment reduces crime. Strongly support. No question here. We need to hold people accountable for the things that they do, and if they violate the law, they need to be punished harshly to keep them from doing it again. No exceptions. It shouldn't matter what color your skin is, what your gender is, or how much money you have in your pocket. Everyone should be held to the exact same standards and punished in exactly the same way. Absolute right to gun ownership. No opinion. Again, I couldn't give an answer because this can go a lot of different ways. No, I have no problem with responsible American adults owning firearms, but as before, there are no absolute rights. We don't allow felons, particularly violent felons, to own firearms. We don't allow unsupervised children to own firearms. I think everyone ought to be required to pass a background check, and honestly, I think all firearms need to be registered. It's not an absolute right, and therefore, I can't answer. Expand Obamacare. Strongly oppose. Not a chance. Obamacare has been a clusterfuck since day one. Costs are going up for everyone. One insurer, Blue Cross/Blue Shield, has suggested a 50% increase in premiums in 2016, which may be an outlier, but premiums in 2015 alone have increased an average of 5.4% nationwide. This is not what we were promised, but it is certainly what I and many others predicted. Time to dump this dog and find something that's actually affordable. Vouchers for school choice. Strongly oppose. No way. I might agree if there was some say over what could be taught in these schools, but really it just becomes public funding for uncontrolled religious schooling, which is already piss poor enough as it is. We need an overall better educational system where everyone can go where they want and get the same high quality schooling. This absolutely does not provide it. Hell no. Prioritize green energy. Strongly oppose. Nope. If green energy wants to compete, it has to do so on an even playing field. It needs to be as good or better than what we already have, and so far, none have qualified. I'm really sick and tired of enviro freaks, especially on the left, expecting us to all accept an inferior product that costs more and does less just because it's green. Forget it. Marijuana as a gateway drug, no opinion. You know, you might think, given how absolutely anti-drug that I am, that I'd be all for this, but I don't think pot's a gateway drug. It doesn't necessarily lead to harder drug use. That doesn't make it a good thing. It doesn't make it a positive. It just means that the question, as stated, has zero relevance to any political positions that I can imagine. And now it's on to economic issues. Stimulus better than market-led recovery. Strongly oppose. Oh sure, be even more fiscally irresponsible following a crash caused by fiscal irresponsibility. That's a good idea. Now, yes, I will agree that we ought to be socking away some extra cash in the good times so that when the bad times hit, we have some money to spend. But that's just not how Washington, D.C. works. Neither side has ever met a partisan spending bill that they didn't like. You don't see the pseudo-conservative Republicans standing up and demanding that we live solely within our means when it's one of their pork barrel projects on the chopping block. We need to rely on the free market, not on government spending, to steer our financial ship. Higher taxes on the wealthy. Strongly oppose. And who decided the wealthy's money was up for grabs? Oh, right, the liberals. Well, it's not. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Wealth distribution is an awful thing, full stop. Deciding that someone has more than you, therefore you get to decide how their money is spent, is absolutely stupid. The people who want to pull that would shit their pants if those lower on the totem pole decided that, hey, they had more money than the desperately poor, therefore the desperately poor are taking it for themselves. Let's not be hypocrites here. If you want more money, get off your ass and go earn it for yourself. Pathway to citizenship for illegal immigrants. Strongly oppose. Like it or not, illegal immigrants are criminals. They are here in violation of the law, and I don't give a damn what justification they give for doing it. They've already proven that they cannot follow the most fundamental and basic laws we have. Why should we reward them by handing over American citizenship to people who have largely proven that they don't give a damn about being American? Get out of our country, get to the back of the line, and earn your place like everyone else coming in. Privatize Social Security. Moderately support. I do support this. I think that people with more control over their retirement investments can make better decisions and turn their financial nest egg into something bigger. Plus, it gets it the hell out of Washington, where legislators can't steal any more money from the fund, which has largely driven it into the ground already. I do realize that some people are incapable or uncomfortable investing their own money, and maybe we should help them do so, as long as it does keep the grubby fingers of the politicians out of the pot. And now the final category, defense and international issues. Support and expand free trade. Strongly support. Now, it does depend what you mean by free trade. If it means absolutely no controls where American companies can ship all the jobs overseas with no penalties, then no, I don't support that. I do think that bidirectional international trade, where there is no artificial barriers between products made in America and products made overseas that can cross borders to compete in the open market, is a net positive. Of course, this requires cooperation on both sides, which rarely happens, but conceptually, I like the idea. Expand the military. Strongly oppose. Our military is far too big. We need to cut back and stop pretending that we rule the world. That doesn't mean we have to be completely isolationist, but there was a time that America had a recognized sphere of influence under the Monroe Doctrine. The sphere wasn't global. We didn't have our fingers in every single pie everywhere. We didn't pretend that we called the shots in every country because we had the bomb and we liked to swing our dick around. America needs to be part of the global community, not the de facto nanny in control of international politics. Support American exceptionalism. Strongly oppose. I really hate American exceptionalism. I don't hate being exceptional. I hate the idea that everything we do is automatically exceptional just because we're Americans. You have to actually earn exceptionalism. It isn't something magical that you get because of where you're born. We need to get back to earning it and actually being the best, not just pretending we're the best. Avoid foreign entanglements. No opinions. Yes and no. Where we have legitimate national political interests, I have no problems becoming entangled. But far too often, we have no demonstrable interests. We're just doing it because we like sticking our noses in everyone else's business. That's not how it's supposed to work. We also don't get to reserve the right to make everything that happens on the planet go our way all the time under threat of military intervention. Sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes the bear eats you. We need to get used to not being in charge of everything. So that was the quiz. But who do you think it matched me up with? As I said with the I Side With quiz, I didn't score highly with any candidate, but I did far, far worse here. Here's the top 5 best matches, which are really pretty sad. So I got a 40% match with Ted Cruz. That's a 25% social, 55% economic match. Then 33% Rand Paul, 15% social, 50% economic. 33% Marco Rubio, which is who I got over on I Side with a 25% social and 40% economic. Then 30% Ben Carson, that's 20% social, 40% economic, and 30% John Bolton, 25% social, 35% economic. Of course, all of them are religious assholes that I score extremely low with on every conceivable metric. That's because there are no candidates running in any party, at least that have come forward so far, that I would piss on if they were on fire. None of them are actually conservative. All of them are religious wingnuts that hold few, if any, actual conservative views. Those people are not getting my vote. I hope that someone, somewhere, actually comes forward that's worth voting for, or it's going to be another election where I go out voting for the lesser of the two evils, and I really hate voting that way. So there you go. I'm actually surprised at how low I scored with these people, but the GOP isn't really a conservative party anymore, and the Democrats, well, they all suck too, but in different ways. It's no wonder this country's going straight down the shitter. It's like nobody learned how to flush. We need an entirely better breed of candidates, but to get those, we need an entirely better breed of voters. People who actually care what happens to this country and aren't just standing around with their hands out waiting for government checks or politicians validating their religious ideologies. Until then, the nation will keep getting worse and everyone will wonder why. It really isn't that hard to figure out. Until we meet again, please think not only about who you're going to elect to public office, but why you're electing them. Blind emotionalism isn't the way to go. It's what made this mess in the first place. Let's try thinking. It can't hurt.